Well, I think for some people, perhaps a structure for some young people would be very good. However, I just don't think that this is a goer. I have a funny feeling that Harry sort of said it in a more flippant way, and I know it's raised the subject. In lots of countries, I made a note actually, Denmark, Estonia, Norway, Turkey, Austria, Finland and Russia still have a system of some sort for conscription. But I think now, and whereas I do think it would give some people a good structure, I think the mere fact that they have a lot of apprenticeships now, I think that that is a better way of channeling energy. And there's too much of a danger of saying, oh, well, he's on the loose and he's hanging around street corners, send him off to the army. And I think you'd agree, Jane, that there'd be a lot of people who wouldn't want to be in the army, so it's wasted training.
Yeah, I'm not kind of quite sure whether he was really serious. He sort of said, well, it worked really well for me and maybe sort of kept me on the straight and narrow, etc., etc. But, you know, let's face it, in modern-day Britain, it's just not going to happen. And what would happen, I think, is that even if it was brought in, kind of rich people would find some way of getting out of it and saying, well, I'm off to university to be a doctor or a lawyer, and what you'd end up is with you know, kids from sort of socially deprived backgrounds being packed off. And as Andy McNabb says very well, I think today in the paper, in the papers, he says you don't want kids that are being forced to be there. If you're in a combat situation, you want somebody there that wants to fight and who's got your back. He said you'd always think if they'd been forced into it, they might run off in the middle of battle.
They didn't want to do it anyway. And also now, with it being 2015, it would be girls and boys, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. You can't discriminate, can you?
And selfishly, as a mother, I can't think of anything worse. I would absolutely hate it.
Then your child being made to go.
Yeah.
What I do think the army gives is fantastic skills and interaction with people. I mean, I do think it has a lot to offer for somebody who wants to be there.
Absolutely.
Well, I think
it's fantastic.
I'm the daughter of a soldier, and I grew up with a dad who, any time he saw a yobbo, as he'd call it, say they need a good dose of national service. That's what they need. And I used to argue with him about it all the time. I think there's an element that, you know, all these young people, they often talk about they belong to a gang because they lack the sense of being in a family.
Yeah.
And I think for some young people, I don't believe it should be compulsory at all. I think that's tarring everyone with this brush about they all need that. But I think maybe instead of kind of borstalls and places for young offenders, maybe for some of them it would suit them to
some
be
councils
in that
use. There's
environment.
a kind of a military college I read about that where the army sort of sends squaddies for training, and some councils use that college as somewhere to send kids that look like they're going off the rails.
Just find it what's interesting in this case. It's normally an older person, as you mentioned your dad, mentioning it. It's funny that a young person in this case is advocating it.
Yeah, but he's had a very different life, hasn't he, from the people he's advocating it for, probably.